So if you are going to be using PowerPoint, obviously you don't have to. You could choose a different software package, but there's so many different ones out there. Obviously, I'm not an expert in all of them. I just thought I would use PowerPoint as it is. It does tend to be the one that most of you tend to use, and it's the one that most of you have access to. PowerPoint is actually quite good in terms of embedding both audio and video into your presentation. Just be aware that depending on the version of Windows that you might have, you might actually have slightly different buttons to me, but hopefully they're not too different. I actually created this PowerPoint presentation earlier on my laptop, and I've noticed that the difference between my laptop, which has Windows 10, and I'm on my Mac now at home, and this is Windows, I don't even know what version this is, 2010 maybe, something like that, a few years ago now. There are just sort of a few subtle differences, but hopefully it's still loaded okay, and hopefully the sound clips still work. So, first thing to note is, I've already said that, it might be a slightly different process depending on which version of Windows you have installed. So if you want to embed some audio or video files, first thing you do is you go to Insert. Now, mine actually doesn't say Insert on this version, but if you are on Windows 10, you go to Insert and you click Audio or Video if you've chosen that. Here, we've actually got a button that says Media. So, and it says here, insert a movie or audio file to play during the slideshow. So I'm going to click on this. And you have the option of either a movie or an audio file. And I'm just going to, for a simple process here, I'm just going to show audio. You have the option of recording your audio and embedding it straight away, or sort of saving it to file and then embedding it later on. Or you can choose some audio from a file that you have on your computer. And this is what I did earlier. So I actually embedded a sound clip earlier. And it's not going to work, is it? Oh yeah, it's coming up. Right, okay, there we go. So I just embedded a simple sound clip just to show you. And it comes up with this little icon here. It's good to keep this icon hidden or sort of out of the way of your slides, because it can be a little bit annoying, really. So I tend to just sort of have it up in the corner, somewhere like that, and it's out of the way. And this box only appears when you actually kind of click on it. So let's just see if we can hear what I put in. Just make sure we've got the volume turned up on here. Okay, so it's just a simple soundtrack. Yours will obviously be your voice that's narrating over the PowerPoint. Now, you can see there that on this slide, I had to actually physically click that sound to come on. You can do it that way. I think it's more professional if actually you embed the sounds so that they automatically play upon the person clicking onto that slide. It's just less fiddly for the person reading or watching your presentation. So hopefully when I go on to the next one, when I do the slideshow, you'll see the difference. So if we just load the slideshow and we do it from the start, hopefully you can still see this. And you'll see that the first slide here, you can still see the little icon in the corner, and that's where I physically have to click on that. Okay, so on this slide, did you notice that as soon as I clicked onto the slide, the sound automatically played? Now, that is, I think that's a better way of doing it. Don't worry if you set it up differently. The way to do that is quite simply to look at the settings up here. And again, this looks different to the one I looked at earlier. But what you should have is a box somewhere to click, and it'll either say for your sound to click on click or automatically. And I would opt for the latter, so click automatically in that case, and it played. If the person then goes back to the slide or has to move forward for any reason, then it'll automatically play. Now then, so if I go back to my home and I go up to media, if I go audio from file, it might hopefully give me the option. Right. My music. I've got your files on here. No, that's annoying. I actually set it up on my laptop, so see if it's connecting to that. Anyway, you get the idea. Obviously you'll have your files saved somewhere on your computer that you actually know where it is, and you can then just browse through the folders and find the actual MP3 file. It's usually an MP3 or a WAV file, WAV file in Windows Media Player. So either of those will be audio files that you'll be able to embed easily there. If I were to do, let's just record some audio just for the sake of this demonstration. So hopefully, so it was asking me about picking up my microphone and so on. So if we call this test, let's just see if it will do it. I don't think that works, so let's do that again. So if we do record audio, record. So it's doing it now. So this is a test, just hopefully to show you how creating some sound alongside your PowerPoint will be embedded in your PowerPoint slides. So here what you could be doing is actually clicking onto the slide you're talking about, having your notes next to you that you want to talk about or read out, and then just literally doing this. And then once you're finished, you click Save, and it brings up a slightly different icon here for some reason. Maybe it's just the version of PowerPoint I'm using. And then hopefully if we click Play, okay, so that's that file. I just want to figure out how it comes automatically. So what I did is I double clicked on the icon, and it's come up with this option here, and it's got here, it defaults to on click. So if I click there and click automatically, you've also got the option of play across slides, which obviously you don't really want in this case. That would be the same if you were playing like a piece of music across the slides or something like that. Here you want automatically, and it should save that for that particular slide. And what I'll do is get rid of that annoying guitar music that we had earlier, and I'll save this presentation and then hopefully rerun it. It should work. And what I'll do is go back to this slide, do the same with this one. Okay, so this one also says on click. I'm going to click automatically. And then hopefully now when I go back to the beginning of the slideshow, it should play both of those automatically. Okay, so just from start. Okay, so both of those work there. Did you see that they automatically played? The other thing to mention, now this is just from looking at some of your formatives that you've submitted for your presentations, that you've had it where the text has been sort of appearing on click. So you might just want to have sort of a point, and then the reader has to sort of click to get the next point. I would avoid doing that if possible, just because the one I looked at today was a bit tricky with the audio as well. So what was happening was I was clicking to get the text to appear on the slide, and sometimes if you click one too many times by accident, it will then move on to the next slide. You've then got to go back and listen to the audio again, and you might be sort of halfway through listening to that audio clip. So it's just a little bit messy. So if I were you, I would just have all of the text on the slide, unless there's a few instances where you want to have it perhaps for a reason, for some formatting reason, to highlight something on your slide maybe, or kind of get it, to go bold or something like that. But don't have any of these sort of fancy kind of things sweeping in from the side or anything like that. In my opinion, it takes away from the focus of what you're talking about, and it actually is just a little bit clunky for the reader. So I would have simple slides where all the reader has to do is literally click onto the next slide, and actually then the audio automatically loads. Now, in PowerPoint as well, I think what you can do is actually, once you've got all your recordings in there, all your sound clips, you can play around with it so that actually the slideshow automatically sort of continues. So once that sound clip's in place, it then moves on to the next slide. So actually the reader just literally has to sit there and watch your presentation without having to move on to the slides themselves. So have a go at doing that, depending on the version of PowerPoint that you've got. I could have a quick look at that one here, but I'm not actually sure, without playing around with it, how would you actually do that? So there's lots of things in here you can set up show. So look, set up how slides should advance and so on. And you've got all options here with your narration and so on. So have a play around with that. You don't have to have that. So I'm happy for the PowerPoint to, for me to have to click onto the slides to actually then listen to each of them. That's absolutely fine. So hopefully that's helped in terms of embedding sound. If you want